coming here for our presentation. Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, so the team is coming. We are very happy to present our proposal addressing the problem for one of the monotowns which faces one of the biggest problems due to the crisis. After a lot of sessions of discussion and debates, interviews and surveys, we came up with our proposal, and we are very happy to include also your feedback, so please write down every comment, and whatever input is welcome, and please be helpful. I will want to start with a little overview and the background information about our country and the region we are addressing and the city, because it's a local development program. So our country, as you know, is Theravia. We are a transition country, and we face many problems. One of the biggest problems that our authorities have to solve is how to make sustainable economic development in monotowns. What does this mean? Like, we have one industry. In this case of the city PPK, we have an aluminium factory, which is not in charge only with the production, but also ensures social services, electricity, utilities to the locals. So you can imagine if this factory is bankrupt, everything stops. That's why the central government asked the regional authorities and the municipalities to come up with a program in order to create new jobs and new employment opportunities, strengthening a business environment. They made a call for a team of experts. We are a team of local and international experts who came up with this proposal. I would just want to point the main problems of we had to face and to address in our proposal. One is the uncompetitive industrial structure, which is outdated and technical. Okay. No, I have just go back. Go back, please. No, the first one. The first one. Yeah, just here. Just background. Because my colleague will come and bring all the statistics, I'll just make the introduction. One is the outdated technology, highly polluted. The second one is the high risk of unemployment. And the third one, which covers all the other one, is dependence on one employer and underdeveloped business environment. I would like to invite my colleague, the lead statistician, and to present the SWOT analysis and the statistic data.
Okay. First of all, we try to make statistic information. Control please. We have population, which is 26 million inhabitants, our territory, life expectancy is something in the middle. We have natural resources in our country, oil, iron ore, and aluminium ore. Our governance is very strict, it's centralized. Our Gini coefficient is a little bit high, it's like 44%. And FDI net inflow is at 70%, inflation rate 14%. So, next please. Our economic structure and employment depends on three sectors, mainly agriculture, industry, manufacturing and services. As you can see, that industry is the major sector in our country. It's like 34%. And total employment of manufacturing and services will be, but this is the National Statistics Bureau of Theravia, and this is country overview, which is slightly different from what we have on our local level. We also made some nice charts about population, which is decreasing, and GDP is kind of lower for the 2009, and Gini coefficient is decreasing, but it's still very high, and our GDP, as you see, it's going down for 2009. So, local overview, please. No. SWOT analysis.
speak about SWOT.
Yeah, I can speak about SWOT. Well, I just skip country level and end up with the local level ones. We have one industry contributing to the city's wealth, but at the same time it's our weakness. We have monotowns that depends on aluminium factory. High risk of unemployment also. Our opportunities, we have cheap and skilled labor force, we have natural resources, aluminium ore, and high revenues from exporting aluminium. Our threats, we have corruption, we have experience of oligarchs in the existence of oligarchs in the country, we have risk on social unrest, and we have undeveloped civil society which doesn't like to participate in country governance and to be socialized. Okay. So, problems. Okay, and I'd like to bring my colleague with principles and proposed actions, please.
So as you could see, my colleagues pointed out or raised problems, and you can see more detailed information and a really detailed proposal and study if you really would like to consider critical comments in the end of the presentation. We thought about a project that is considering the industrial restructuring of this town and also to generate employment by revitalizing the SME sector. Because due to the crisis, the job security situation is really bad. Many people are afraid to be unemployed soon, and that's why we need to diversify the economic structure of our city. So, our project will have two components.
That's all.
You simply skip
Now you
to
can
present
see
the
why we
stage
did
of public hearings and discussions which was preceding this. Obviously, it was very intensive and it was
Okay.
Diana will detail this part, but I just want to emphasize and summarize our problems, and then we will introduce the project. So we need this industrial restructuring, which is the first component of our project, and the second one will be fostering the creation of new employment through the development of small and medium enterprises. And we would also like to address the outdated and highly polluting technology of our factory, aluminium factory, operated by Theravia or National Aluminium Company, which is a great national pride, and we would like to modernize and save it. And we would also like to address in our project a significant gender gap in life expectancy. So now I will give the floor to Diana, and she will talk about the project in more details.
So, as you can see in this picture, it was really difficult to settle on our debate and come up with the final objectives based on our goal. Oh, thank you for it. So you can see there, like, we settled for 3 objectives in order to achieve the goal: promote the sustainable economic development of mono-industrial towns as a solution to tackle the risk of unemployment. These 3 objectives, we then split it in some activities and try to manage the input, output, and the impacts line. So the first objective, as you can see, it is modernizing the aluminium factory. As my colleagues stated before, it's the main part of our project because everything is connected with this aluminium factory. We can go activities. How we want to do this? We want to switch to an eco-friendly technology, which is less polluting and which is also more productive and efficient. So this is like we will imagine to look to have this new factory with the new technology and a renovating building, which also will impact on. We have a low impact on the environment. In short term, we have like 2 years prediction and long term on 5 years prediction. So we want to replace gradually the existing technology and to decrease the pollution level by lowering the emission of CO2 and by diminishing the waste. The resources, we thought what we need to do this, so we mentioned like this is the name of the new technology, and we need the funds for modernizing because our country doesn't have the possibility to provide us with the funds at local level. So we can go to the next one. So you can see here the short-term outputs and outcomes. We want to replace the technology and touch upon the environmental impact and lowering. So we can go to the next one, I think. For further details, you will receive our project so you can see every detail. The second objective, how we want to do this modernizing, because we don't have the funds and the government rushes us to do something but without any financial support because it is due to the crisis. So we wanted to do this by a public-private partnership and sharing the risk with somebody else. Activities, we want to find money. So that was the main point how we came up to this public-private partnership. Further, please. You can go. We want the new management team. That's a proposal. You can come and be our new management team for this factory. A more efficient team, one management team that doesn't go bankrupt. And the resources. If the government does not provide us with money, at least it can support us with some new regulation and with some tax exemptions for these investors that we want to attract. And the foreign investment, we estimated this amount of money which would be needed for our project. Can we go to the next indicators? Okay, so you can see that we want to make a call for investor, have one, sign the contract, and then to have this kind of split of shares. You have this percentage, 30, 60, 10, and we also want by this investor to bring technology, to bring know-how, but also to help us to build our community through CSR project. And you, in the early days, you could see one of our projects, the kindergarten. So I think we can go to the next objective. And now we switch to the industrial part of our project, to the development of the business environment. We want to invest in this because in order to reduce our dependence on one employer. So a new investor will come and will have a new strategy, so many people will be dismissed. So we need to have a safety net for them. And we will do this by trying to develop our business environment in the city. So we can go like, we will have new trainings for people because they would need new educational, new skills, so we want to ensure this. And then vocational training to prepare them in different specializations, and IT, of course. And we will have new research, legislation, based on a very good research. And of course we need money for doing this. So from where we get the money? Okay, the EU. We are a neighbor country, so we want to apply for some grants. Next one, let's see. Okay, so again, from where do we get the resources and what should they be? The training curricula, because for these trainings we need government approval, all this technical stuff like to have the training curricula set, tax-free, of course, for the new established companies. they should be to have this incentive in order to establish a new company. We need funds for the trainings, and we need to ease the procedure to register a new company, so you don't have to stay in line to do it. So we think that this is a major problem, and the local administration should be in charge with this. And also access to internet and access to information, so people can access all the information available and learn. And the manual, of course, my colleagues is like, don't forget the manual. Yeah, we'll have a startup manual because the people need to have a guide in order to pursue this activity. So you see again our indicators. What do we want to achieve? 400 trained people in ICT technology, people in entrepreneurship, and we also want to address this marginalized group. Have you seen, we have higher level of marginalized groups, so we have to address this problem because many people will retire after this modernization of the factory, so we need to have some part-time jobs options for them. Okay, so we can add a small grant program for the new established companies. Okay, so this is like very short our table, which will be available in the description of our project, so you can go over it. And one aspect that we are very keen to it's the stakeholder engagement plan. We think that if we want to build a sustainable local community, we should address very seriously this aspect. And as you can see, we have to be a team. Like, we are a mixed team of local and international experts, so we need the same thing in addressing the problem. So we need our stakeholders. Please go to the next slide. These are like our stakeholders. I think maybe you will be wondering about the sixth one. Some people wonder about this one because usually it's not perceived as speaking stakeholder, but we should have it considered because even the environment cannot speak, it can affect our life. So, and our action will affect our quality of environment. So the central government, it will be focused more on legislative and regulation, and this is their role. The regional and local administration also with this administrative procedure, and they should also overview all the training programs, small grant program management, all this technical aspect because they have the capacity to do it. Then we have foreign investor, which I already mentioned what is their role in our picture, but they also have to have this cooperative approach in order to understand that they are part of the community, they are not above the community. And trade union and employees, they should also have a say in changing the factory, changing the ownership, and they also, their input should be taken in consideration. Then the local community is very important for the social economic aspect of our project because we want to have this safety net, and not always they can be solved by establishing a private company. So we have some socio-economic initiatives to test the market. Let's see how it works. And then the environment, of course, because we have a huge problem with pollution and should take care of also. For each decision we'll take, we should be concerned about the environmental impact. So I think my colleague Esther will come and see and can present the benefits of the project.
Well, from Diana, we've heard a very detailed discussion of the outcomes and the outputs of this project, and I would just like to summarize it. Who would benefit from this? First of all, we will have a new factory. Yeah. So with our new technology will allow us to considerably decrease the pollution level. That will add to the happiness of the people living in our city. And I think the second component, the SME creation, is also adding to this happiness because people will have more opportunities, and this program will target those people who will really have a prospect in initiating enterprises in agro-processing, in sectors linked to the industry and also services. And We would like to disseminate information about our experiences. So the project will create a website which will allow also other investors to gather information about the business environment in our city, and it would also add to the business-friendly environment we would like to create. So it's a clear benefit we'll have. So as you see, we would like to have the revitalized city economy seen in the next 2 to 5 years, and because our aim is, as Theravia, is to join the EU. So during the implementation of this project, we will strictly adhere to EU standards, and we would like to attract European investors as well.
From Midland, yeah?
Maybe, yeah, and managers from Midland to implement their European know-how. So.
But do you have no why? Do you have no why? You plan to implement know-how, but do you have no why?
We try to figure out the know-how.
We would like to be as successful as
now
Midland
we're not
accessing the EU.
Now we're not showing you our presentations because you will steal all the ideas from our managers.
From EU funding, I'm sure we can pay them. Yeah, so we are really optimistic, but of course there are some risks to every projects and endeavors, which Diana will present.
Okay, so I'm left with the difficult part, how to manage the risk we have in our country and of course in our town. I think one of the most important risks to be addressed is the capacity of the government to force this public-private partnership due to the lack of transparency and difficult process to forge new regulations. So, and also we face a large corruption and widely spread corruption, so this can be hindering our project. At local level, I will see that maybe local administrative bodies don't have the capacity to work in this kind of project, so maybe you should also address some trainings towards the administrative part of the project. And maybe the community won't agree to bring this new investor, so we should have this discussion at local level and make them aware about the benefits and also the risk involved by having this new company in their town. And one big risk is how we manage to get everyone on board and to reduce the risk for social unrest due to the new reforms. Okay. So in big picture, this is our project. It's a pilot project. We'd like to implement it in Peveka city, and then we'll, if it's a successful one, we can adapt it to other monotowns, which are a huge problem for our country. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Comments, questions, remarks, additional ideas, please. Before I go with my view. Yes, Christine.
I like it very much. Congratulations. I like your humor, the presentation, and that in your factory analysis you really have shown that nothing is good or bad. Everything has there are very few things which are win, 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 and lose, 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 lose. And what I really like most is that in your local community development, for me it seems that you have used ecological patterns, how the ecology works. And as for joining the EU, maybe you should also prepare an analysis that you might be better off if you are outside, you remain outside the European Union. So.
For the status B, you would be like 5-10 years outside. So it's not, we already have these 5-year programs. We're discussing next year.
Okay, thank you. Other comments, questions? Yes,
please, the management team.
No ideas, please.
I love your advice. No, no. If you mentioned as a stakeholder the environment, which I really like, but I didn't see the environment in the benefits. It would be good that if the benefits of the project you show also the environment, because otherwise my perception is yes, everyone talks about the environment, but when it comes to the benefits, I didn't see there. So you may have it in other parts of the project, so just show it to us for the next time.
Yeah, you'll find it in the project is mentioned. Yeah, we mentioned and we measured this environmental impact by reduced pollution and better quality of life. So you can find it in the written projects. Okay. Yeah.
You were hired.
Because we want a certain type of foreign investor. So we don't.
Other comments, questions? Yes, please.
As far as I know, there are problems with oligarchs in the country and also in other towns. Do you have certain ideas how this situation will be developed, the political situation and the oligarchs?
Yeah, I mentioned it as one of our risks due to high corruption, this nepotism and close relations between some private owners and the government. So we think we need also the political will of the regional authorities and national authorities to force this project and get it further. So this is one of the risks, but we are not all knowledgeable, so we want also the input and we'll see which is the government's response in this particular aspect.
Okay. Very few comments on my side before we move to the next presentation. First of all, I really liked the idea of bringing the environment as a stakeholder, because actually this is, I find, as one of major results of what we were working and what we were discussing in those 2 weeks. I think we mentioned at some point before, if not, let me remind, in the 60s, end of 60s, James Lovelock developed the concept of Gaia. Hypothesis, concept hypothesis, because later was evolving, which was entailing the idea that Earth is a living organism which is able to regulate and self-regulate temperature, chemistry, so that maintain an optimum comfort level of being and existence. And I think this is idea which increasingly gets momentum. There are certain different directions in which it evolved. Later on, linking it with the environmental degradation, linking it with the concept of natural selection and evolution. But the concept that you need to take care of the environment, not just because it's a source of certain benefits, for example, natural resources or habitat for well-being, but much more than that, which we don't actually understand always why it behaves like that. But the outcome is that we are all part of this living organism, which in fact has maintained its existence throughout millions of years. I think it's very important, and you're right, it could be better elaborated in the project outcomes and benefits, but the overall framework is very, very nice. Second, I like very the relevant indicators, so it is very clearly put the right sequence, inputs, outputs, outcomes, and impact. The only question I have, which is not a remark or not a comment for you, it's overall. There is a catch-22. If there were industries or sectors which could be profitable, sustainable on their own, we wouldn't come to the existence of mono-company towns. And the fact that we have a mono-company town is not just a matter of political decision taken in the past, but also a matter of certain determinants in the terms of natural resources, communication, distances, and so on. So, in the case of mono-company towns, very often you face the problem of inventing or looking from different perspectives on this set of determinants which you have. And one exotic option can be, for example, I was thinking, why don't you establish a casino, tax-free zone, and link this to the environmental aspect.
Because our incomes go down, so I don't know who will be our customers.
I was joking, of course. But the point is that you don't often know what could work. So the sustainable way of doing something is unleash the power of people's imagination and exactly focusing on making things easy in terms of regulation, as you mentioned, with queues for registration and so on. And most important, it's another thing which I like very much, providing access to information, communication, technologies, internet, fast data access and so on, so that the people go beyond their territorial limitations, and then also it is a way of addressing the issue of local determinants, which can sometimes be only in one direction. Okay, thank you. So next is Niblalia.